I fundamentally do not believe the United States is in decline. I do not believe the U.S. economy is in decline. Doesn't mean that the U.S. economy is benefiting lots of Americans the way we'd like it to. Right? Doesn't mean unemployment's where we want it to be. Doesn't mean the education system is where we want it to be for most Americans. But I don't believe the U.S. is in decline. And very importantly, other countries agree with that. And CEOs agree with that. And we see the investments in the U.S. We see the market performance as a consequence. We see the strength of the dollar. However, and I'm very sorry to say this. I'm very sorry to feel this. I do now believe, for the first time, that U.S. foreign policy is in decline. And I think it's true for a lot of reasons. Let me first say that Obama is responsible for some of them, but I don't think I'd give him 50%. I think I'd probably put Obama I'd give him about a third. His decisions, his lack of decisions, his team, and all of that. So I kind of line up where we are. I mean, the last year has been tough in foreign policy. Snowden, Syria, the government shutdown, the impact of Obama not going to the APEC summit, all of that. The quality of the second-term team. The second-term foreign policy team, broadly speaking, is not the first-term team. John Kerry is not Hillary Clinton. Jack Lew is not Tim Geithner, right? You just don't have, not only do you not have the same capacity, but you also don't have the trust from Obama on the foreign policy officials that you did the first time around. I think that is a problem. But more broadly than that, you also have American allies that are less willing to provide significant support for U.S. initiatives. A Germany-led Europe is harder for the Americans to align with internationally than a Britain or even a France-led Europe, because the Germans don't do geopolitics. They do geoeconomics, and they do them bilaterally, unlike the Brits and the French, whose general worldview is more similar, has the same kind of narrative that of the United States has. There are more countries out there that are more willing to throw a spanner in the works of U.S. outcomes, like the Russians, like the Chinese, more capable, more interested in doing so than they have been historically. So I think when you put all of these things together, you get an international environment where the United States is not doing as much, is not interested in doing as much, and is getting a lot of pushback. I think this has big implications for the international marketplace, for international security. It's very clear. I mean, Obama said during the United Nations meeting a few months ago that the U.S. does not want to be the world's policeman. Now, it may well be that the United States wants to be the world's private investigator. But that is even less popular as a role, and that's not gone well. As I look towards 2014, I see the Americans with certain relationships that can't go anywhere. You look at the Canadians and the Mexicans, they don't have much economic choice but the U.S. You look at Japan, Israel, and Britain, they don't have much strategic choice but the U.S. You go one step below that, just one, and you've got countries with options. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Germany, France, Brazil, South Korea, Indonesia, a lot of countries there. Not small countries, right? And if I'm Raytheon or if I'm Lockheed, and I know I'm not going to sell more defense material to the Americans because defense budget spending is pretty flat, I really need to be able to sell to a lot of those countries. Well, what happens if the Turks are like, actually, I'd rather buy from the Chinese? The Saudis are, our relationship is broken, I'd rather buy from the French. That's happening. That's a problem. That's an implication of U.S. foreign policy in decline. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, by far the most important U.S. piece of foreign policy affecting the U.S. economy in the world for the past 5-10 years, was supposed to get done by the end of 2013. Didn't happen. Now people are saying definitely going to get done this year. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen in 2015. And that delay matters. And that delay slows what would otherwise be more economic opportunity for American firms and for the U.S. economy to orient more trade and capital flows towards the United States. It impacts Asian economies that are aligned with the U.S. as well.